Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Creative Mornings, another virtual event. I'm Stephen Wilhelm. I'm the host of the Calgary chapter. And I know a few of us, you've never registered for a Creative Mornings event. So before we get started, I just want to spend a couple minutes and let you know what we're all about. All right, so Creative Mornings is a monthly breakfast lecture series for the creative community. We're currently over 215 chapters and 67 countries. Around 20,000 people like yourselves attend talks every month. We have over 8,000 talks online and over 9 million views. And our events are and always will be free. The Creative Mornings Manifesto really sets the tone for our events and shines a light on our values here at Creative Mornings. So we have altered it just slightly for our new virtual world, and I would like to read that to you right now. Everyone is creative. A creative life requires bravery and action, honesty, and hard work. We are here to support you, celebrate with you, and encourage you to make the things you love. We believe in the power of community. We believe in giving a damn. We believe in face-to-face communications, in learning from others, in jazz hands, and waving from 6 feet away. We bring together people who are driven by passion and purpose, confident that they will inspire one another and inspire change in neighborhoods and cities around the world. Everyone is welcome. So that's Creative Mornings, and we're excited to have everybody in the call with us today. To make sure everyone can engage and connect as much as possible, I'm going to go over just a few Zoom details before we dive into our event. So we do have lots of wonderful faces on the call today. If you can, we'd like to invite everyone to turn on their cameras and share your wonderful faces with the community. Don't feel shy. Feel free to give snaps, emojis throughout the call. And you can also send some love in the chat box throughout the call. And we do have some volunteers monitoring that chat box in case you need some help. And as well, you can also change the screen view. So in the top right-hand corner of your screen, it'll either say gallery view or speaker view. And you can toggle back and forth throughout the event to see everyone on the call or just to see the host. And you can do that while someone else is sharing a screen. Okay, so now that that is out of the way, I'm going to take a couple minutes and thank all the great people and companies that help make all this happen. So first off, our global sponsors. A big thank you to MailChimp, Creative Mornings' official global partner for marketing. And have you heard a new book reshapes our perspective? It gives us a different lens through which to see the world, something new to stand up for. So MailChimp's virtual book festival, By the Books, which features a collection of emerging voices, is just that. It's a call to stand by new ideas, to be inspired by fresh viewpoints, to shape our future by championing progressive thinkers, to stand by the books. I am going to just share the link for this in the chat box so you can refer to it. So give me 2 seconds here. And okay, so that link will be in the chat. All right. As well, big thanks to WordPress.com, Creative Mornings' official global partner for web publishing. Since 2018, Creative Mornings and WordPress.com have joined forces to bring Own Your Content, a series of interviews, toolkits, and field trips that explore what it means to create, share, and own the work we put into the world. And as part of this exploration, Creative Mornings talks broadly with creators like Grace Bonney, Jen Hewitt, Kyo Vin, Paul Jarvis, and everything about how to get past creative blocks in order to actually create content, to how we can retain ownership and control our work in an increasingly complicated digital landscape. So I am also going to paste that link in the chat box as well for everyone. All right. And as well, a big thank you to Basecamp, Creative Mornings' official global partner for project management. Hey is a new email service made by the folks at Basecamp. It's a love letter to email. It's designed around their belief that your inbox can be delightful and is a completely revolutionary way of approaching email. So you can take it for a spin with a 14-day free trial at hey.com. And I will pop that into the chat box for everyone as well. Great. All right. I'd just like to take a moment to thank our local sponsors. So first up, big thanks to Jason Sweet, our official photographer for the Calgary chapter. As well, a shout out to Rod Anderson from Sandbox Brand Marketing. So reveal and align what makes you great. Everyone deserves a better brand. Your story is your brand and it plays out in your company every day. The coffee you would have been drinking this morning is from the Roastery and established in 1985. It's Calgary's original specialty coffee shop, bringing the art of coffee roasting to the public. I'd also like to recognize our video sponsor, Day One Media, which helps businesses tell great stories with video, touching the heart and mind of your customer. And finally, a shout out to C-Space, where we normally host our live events. And if you're from Calgary, and if this is your first Creative Morning event and haven't been to C-Space, make sure you come back when things are opened up. It's a beautiful arts community in this city. Okay, well, let's get on with our event. The global theme this month is stress. And the format for today, like always, it's going to be around a 20-minute talk. We're going to keep everybody on mute during this time. And after the talk, what we're going to do is we're going to separate into random breakout rooms of about 5 or 6 people each for 10 minutes. And you'll get a chance to meet some of the fellow attendees and talk about what resonated with you. Make sure to introduce yourself and don't forget to unmute and turn your camera on. And if you're having any issues, you can always leave the breakout room anytime and head back to the main room. And but after 10 minutes, that breakout room will automatically close, and we'll do a final Q&A for another 10 minutes after that. So our guest speaker this morning is Marin McCue. Marin is a yoga and meditation teacher, movement specialist, spin cycle motivator, author of the book Be the Change, wellness retreat facilitator, one-on-one and group awareness and embodiment coach, keynote speaker, and mental health strength training consultant for small businesses. From an early age, while pursuing and achieving the goal of playing in the NCAA, Marin struggled with depression, self-harm, and an eating disorder and crippling anxiety. She completed a bachelor's degree with a focus on psychology and philosophy, and now teaches people how to heal themselves and optimize their mental health. It has become her mission to normalize mental health struggles, inspire others to be vulnerable and open, and utilize the power of growing and healing together. Everybody, Marin McCue.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Maya. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm so honored to be here and to be a part of this morning and connect with all of you. We have 20 minutes, and I work really deep with people, and so I was sharing last night when we were doing our prep that this is always a really great challenge for me to distill things down into something really simple. I want you all to walk away with tangible tools and potentially a new understanding of how you can relate to yourself and relate to your stress. So with that in mind, let's start with kind of getting grounded in our bodies. So wherever you are right now, take a moment to settle into your seat. If you want to lay down on the ground, you can do that. If you want to lean against a wall or a chair, just take a few moments to feel into your body with that question of what would feel supportive? What would feel comfortable? You can have your eyes open or closed, whichever feels best in this moment. And if possible in this moment, can you close your mouth and breathe through your nose? You might need to flare your nostrils a little bit to create a little bit more space for your breath to move. And at any point, if you are finding you can't breathe through your nose, it's okay to breathe through your mouth. We need the air to be moving. As you do this, see if you can soften your belly. Relax your jaw and shoulders. So with each inhale, you can really feel your belly and low back and sides expand all the way into your ribs, keeping your shoulders relaxed. And the exhale is a soft, gentle release. Just a few more like that. And without changing or manipulating your breath at this point, just start counting the duration of your inhale and the duration of your exhale. No particular number is expected here. Just count your natural breath in this moment. And now get curious to see what it would take to add 1 second longer on the inhale, and just 1 second longer on your exhale. And allow a few breaths like that to move through you. As you continue breathing in that soft, rhythmic, soothing pattern, start to invite in the inquiry of what stress feels like. And it might be readily available. Maybe you were feeling it the entire time as you were breathing. Or it might be something that you're now inviting into your experience. It might be, focused in your head, a constant pain or dull ache. There might be a visual of chaos, like you're on a train moving 300 kilometers an hour nonstop. You might notice some tightness in your chest, tension in your shoulders, or a dull pain in your belly. It could be like an imbalance of uncertainty, no real focus, a fast heart rate, pressure, fear, or noticing the contagious quality. So see if you can stay holding the hand of your breath as you meet these various sensations. As if you can create space around what you're noticing. And actually allowing these sensations to be there. And at any point, if it becomes overwhelming, you can just move all of your attention back to your breath and begin counting it again. But as long as you can meet these sensations, notice them from a little bit of a distant perspective, where there's space, a recognition that you're not just these sensations or visuals, You're also the one who is breathing and noticing. Just allow a few more breaths as you meet these sensations. And stay steady with your breath. Now, regardless of what you're experiencing in this moment, we're going to move into a rhythmic pattern of breathing. There's 3 parts or 3 different variations we're going to move through sequentially. So relax your belly, relax your shoulders, align your spine, create space for your breath. And on your next inhale, we'll inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Through your nose, gentle exhale. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 2, 1. Deep inhale for 6, 5, 4. Feel your belly expand. 2, 1. Retain. Hold your breath. Relax. 4, 3, 2, 1. Even slower exhale. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Pull your belly back. 2, 1. Hold for 2, 1. Deep expansive inhale. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold your breath. Relax around the fullness. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale even slower. 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Hug your belly back. 1. Hold. 1 more time. Inhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Relax. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow exhale. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Start hugging your belly back. 3, 2, 1. Hold for 2, 1. Now just breathe. Just receive your breath for a few moments here. Just notice if anything has shifted. One more breath. And when you're ready, if your eyes are closed, you can open them back up. I often like to find a little bit of movement after doing some breath techniques, a little shake or wiggle or stretch. So anything that feels good in your body. All right. So I'm going to share my screen here with you all. I have a little presentation for you. Whoops, here, Stephen, it's showing host disabled participant screen sharing. So it's interesting to read the different descriptions you all put in the chat when it comes to what stress feels like. It's a little bit different for each one of us. Some of you wrote about, again, visuals outside your body, or what it feels like inside your body, or different situations in your life that feel stressful. And what I find really fascinating is that when we are in our own unique experience of stress, it changes the narration or the stories that we're telling. In polyvagal theory, story follows state is what they say. So what I really love about this is that when I notice that my mind chatter is negative, or I'm fixated on something that I don't want, or I feel stuck, that to me, it's just a signal that my body is in a state that is creating a negative story. And if I stay up in the mind of trying to fix where my mind's going or try to force myself to think about something different, I'm actually just working with more tension. So what we want to be able to do is recognize that when we are in that state of tension and stress, it's like this stimulus reaction is overlapped. So we feel something, we notice something, and we just impulsively react to it. And that can obviously manifest and show up in many different ways. What we want to be able to do is develop a little bit of space so that we get the stimulus, we feel something, something shifts. And what we do is we notice it before we react. And this could be after you react, so you can have do-over. But to be able to notice it, to move into your body and recognize, oh, I'm getting that sensation of the train moving 300 kilometers an hour. Or I feel that sensation like I'm juggling too many things in the air and I'm just trying to catch, I'm just trying to keep myself stable. I'm not really in a flow. Or you feel the tension of a migraine or in your shoulders or that pit in your belly. If we can take a moment there to actually just connect with our breath and move into our body to meet the sensation, we can actually reappraise what we're experiencing, and then we can come out the other end with a deliberate response. And what we're doing in those moments when we actually pause and we feel and we breathe is we're retraining our body to recognize that we're actually safe in this moment. When we're experiencing chronic stress, our body thinks that we're in danger. And it's really hard for some important processes in the body to take place when our body is constantly in fear of danger. And it's really simple when it comes down to it, that if you are able to meet a sensation, even if it's intense, to connect with your breath and find a rhythm that feels soothing as you let yourself feel, your body starts to recognize, I'm safe. I wouldn't move in and meet a sensation. I wouldn't breathe in this rhythmic manner if I was in danger. So everything starts to downregulate. We start to get access to more sensation and more space to be able to choose, how do I want to show up in here? Or maybe I'm just really hungry or I'm exhausted. And so before I re-engage, I need to go take care of myself to create a little bit more nourishment and space. But this is the visual I want you guys to keep in mind, is anytime you feel like you are just tightly wound and you are reacting, that's the time to pause, connect with your breath, and shift your state. And watch how when you shift your state, the story starts to change. So how do we do this? Well, there's some things that help in terms of languaging to befriend your nervous system. This was really powerful for me. And as Stephen mentioned, I had a long history of mental health struggles. And I spent a lot of time thinking that something was wrong with me because I didn't understand how my system works or how it was supposed to work or how to pay attention to what I'm feeling. I was an elite athlete and I was diagnosed with ADHD at a young age. I struggled with many different mental health issues. And the idea of relaxing or slowing down seemed like a really great idea, but I had no idea how to do it. And if anything, when I tried it, it seemed like it made it worse. And so for me, it was, I just have to keep busy. I have to keep going. But the problem is that when you're constantly moving and going, then you're going to just burn out. So I didn't understand how to access the spectrum between 100% or 0%. For me, it was just one or the other. What helped me with that is learning the language of the window of tolerance. So the window of tolerance comes from the work of Daniel Siegel. He's written many books at the end of this presentation, I have a resource list, and I have a couple books of his that I would recommend you check out. But basically what he talks about here is that the window of tolerance is our optimal zone. So when you're feeling relaxed, grounded, connected, spacious, the ability to notice and breathe before you respond, these are all qualities of the window of tolerance. We have our whole brain intact. Now, what really was powerful for me was understanding the language of hyperarousal and hypoarousal. Hyperarousal is generally what most people are familiar with. It's fight or flight. It's anxiety. It's overthinking. It's worry. There's definitely fear, but there's a tension and there's a busyness to it. So some cornerstones of hyperarousal is disorganized cognitive processing. When things are moving really quick, it's hard to actually be able to look at everything and see it collectively. It's more of just chaos of jumping from one thought to the next, one action to the next. There's emotional reactivity when we're in hyperarousal. So it's, you know, someone could say something, or you think something, or you hear something, and you just quickly react. You're triggered by it. That's another cornerstone of hyperarousal. There can also be intrusive imagery in hyperarousal. Like you have no control of your thoughts. You start thinking things or doing things that if you were really grounded and mindful, they're not things that you would generally think about or do. Hypervigilance, anxiety, and increased sensation. In hyperarousal, you might feel more. Things feel more intense. Now, what was really powerful for me was understanding hypoarousal. My history was, again, going from 100 to 0. So I lived up in hyperarousal a lot. And then I would just shut down. I would spend days on the couch thinking something's wrong with me. I'm lazy. I'm not motivated. You know, I knew that I needed to be around people or do something, but it was like my body just wouldn't let me do it. I just felt lethargic, like a sloth. This is hypoarousal. And this is actually a really important survival mechanism. It's nothing to get mad about. You know, we don't want to get stuck in any one of these states, but it's really your body trying to protect you. If you stay up in hyperarousal for a long time, it's toxic. And so the next line of defense is basically play dead. And that's what hypoarousal is. And when you experience hypoarousal, there's the relative absence of sensation. It feels more numb, like you're disconnected from your body. Disabled cognitive processing, so similar to the quick movement of hyperarousal in the mind. But with hypoarousal, it might be, you know, it can manifest differently, but it's not necessarily as quick. It's more of just like a thought doesn't even finish. It's like you're disengaged from your ability to be cognitive, to think, to problem solve. And reduced physical movement. You might just feel really lazy, like your body doesn't even want to move, like you feel heavy and exhausted. So what Daniel Siegel says is that for those who spend a lot of time in hyperarousal or hypoarousal, you will have a higher rate and reoccurrence of mental health afflictions. Neither one of these states are bad in and of themselves, but if we get stuck, if there's a chronic state, that's when we start having some real issues. Now, another way to understand this that has been really helpful for me is the Polyvagal theory by Stephen Porges. So he relates the window of tolerance to a stoplight. So the green light at the top is known as our safe and social zone, which would also be the window of tolerance. So this is where I'm open, I'm present, and I'm actually able to connect with the people around me. I want to connect with the people around me. I'm able to socialize. I feel open. And there is a spectrum of the window of tolerance. As you expand it, you get access to the hybrid states that actually include hyperarousal and hypoarousal. But when it's hybrid with the window of tolerance, it gives you access to a state of, like when you're really engaged and in a flow state and you have a lot of energy in your body. That would be the hybrid state on the upper end of the window of tolerance. There is still some sympathetic activation, but it's engaged with the safe and social zone. On the bottom end of the window of tolerance, you could experience softness without losing connection to the moment. So it's how you feel when you're cuddling with someone, or when you're so relaxed in restorative yoga or meditation, where your body could be quite still, but you're still in the moment. You're engaged, you're open, you're not shut down. So fight or flight can be understood as the yellow light. So this is where we are proceeding with caution. Am I safe? Is it okay? I am going to be more hypervigilant to paying attention to what potentially could be putting me into danger. And then red is full stop. Okay? That's the shutdown. I can't move anymore. I'm defensive and I'm immobilized. Now, the reason why I like to look at it as the traffic light is it actually gives me a little bit more insight into how I'm feeling in my body. So this is something I'll teach in yoga classes is, you know, get our body moving, get engaged, and then to pause and be still and notice, do I feel open? Am I in the green zone? Or am I a little bit more cautious, a little hesitant, like mobilized, a little bit uncomfortable, like do I lean in or do I run out of here? Or am I in red? I'm no longer connected to my body. I feel like a sloth. I'm melting towards the floor. These are great ways to kind of understand where your nervous system is. And it's going to change throughout the day. Now, knowing this system is one piece of it. But the next is, well, what do I do with this information, right? All of the studying and research and growth I've done over the last 10 years has continually brought me back to my breath. And understanding the science of breath and how this autonomic nervous system that initially you might think it's autonomic, it's automatic, I don't have control over it. But that's not true. We do control it with our breath. And you will notice that when you're in one of these different states, your breath naturally changes. When you're in the yellow zone, that defensive mobilization, your breath is going to speed up, right? Our heart rate speeds up. We're preparing for battle. So our system gets activated. Your breath is going to change. And when you fall into the shutdown response, you're going to notice that your breath becomes really shallow, and you might even just stop breathing, experiencing apnea in a wakeful state where you just stop breathing altogether. So when you can pay attention to the different cues your body is giving you based on where you're landing in your nervous system, you can then shift your breath to change your state. Now, before we do a little practice, there are some, I have 3 mindset tips, because your intention in the practice is going to really make a difference in the efficacy of your practice. So mindset tip number 1 is to understand that with intentional practice, your conscious doing becomes your new subconscious way of being, which means your autopilot is going to change based on how you practice. So I'll speak for myself. My experience with my breath has actually been when I'm not paying attention to it, I would breathe in a very disordered way. And the more that I practice, this daily practice of paying attention to my breath and using breath techniques, now when I'm not paying attention to my breath, I'm breathing in a really calm, soothing way. My body is now guiding me back into the window of tolerance when I'm not paying attention to it. So we can retrain our system. Okay? Stress is not the enemy. It's something to pay attention to and use it as your teacher. Mindset tip number 2, breathing gently and slowly through your nose facilitates the transfer of nitric oxide from the nostrils to the lungs. When we're breathing quick, even if it's through your nose, the exchange of oxygen, nitric oxide, and carbon dioxide doesn't have as much time. So we want to breathe slow. So this slow, easeful breathing increases the concentration of nitric oxide, which improves blood circulation, airway dilation, and reverses the buildup of cholesterol and plaque in your blood vessels, among many other benefits. So if you're not capable of breathing through your nose, this is something to really take a look at. There are many respiratory therapists that you can go to and get some support. If you look at Buteyko breathing online, they have lots of really fun tips of how to open up your airways. But an important thing to understand is that use it or lose it. If you have spent a long time chronically breathing through your mouth, the airways in the nose actually start to close up because our body is efficient. If you're not using something, the body goes, okay, well, I'm not going to use energy to keep this part of you working. I'm going to shut that down, right? And so the more that you practice breathing through your nose, the better you're going to be at breathing through your nose. Okay, so it's okay if it's a little bit uncomfortable. This is about nudging yourself a little bit further each time so that we can expand our window of tolerance. Mindset tip number 3. When we sustain the mindset of gratitude, curiosity, and compassion, we are able to expand the space between stimulus and reaction to get access to a conscious response that includes more choice and insight into our own patterns. So basically what this means is we need to be patient and we need to show ourselves kindness. And the same way we would treat a friend who showed up at the door in tears, we need to do that to ourselves. So anytime you notice you're giving yourself a hard time, like, oh, I should get this by now, or, you know, this is too hard for me, anything like that, to just notice and keep turning towards yourself with compassion and gratitude, even if it's a distractive thought that's mean. To turn towards that higher self within you, that part of you that can pay attention to your breath, the part of you that notices what you're thinking about, that sees things from this neutral perch of observation. That's the part of you that can turn towards no matter what is arising and show it compassion. And that softens everything, okay? So let's practice. What I have for you here is a little bit of a description of different ways you can breathe to shift your state depending on what you're noticing. So I'll describe this and then we'll practice it. So this one in the middle here is showing how we expand the window of tolerance. So when we are in that state already, where we're feeling balanced, we've accessed that sense of calm, we want to do this breath technique that we actually did at the beginning of our session today. We'll do that, and that helps expand the window of tolerance and increase our CO2 tolerance, which is a whole nother rabbit hole I can take you down. Increasing CO2 tolerance, it changes your perspective on what it is to breathe and the importance of carbon dioxide in our ability to actually utilize the oxygen we have. So all you really need to know at this point is that when we find a rhythm that includes breath holding and relaxing around that sensation of that air hunger, and slowly nudge it. So if you find, even in this exercise, that holding your breath for 5 seconds is too intense, then for you, I would suggest we'll drop it down. So instead of 5, 5, 10, 2, it could be 3 seconds inhale, 3 seconds hold, 6 second exhale, 2 second hold. So you want to make sure that you're working within your current window of tolerance to slowly nudge. Because if you are bracing and holding your breath, you're actually activating your system, and that's not expanding the window of tolerance. So it's about finding your edge and just that gentle nudge forward, right? So that's how we expand the window of tolerance, is using this rhythm. Now, on the right side of the screen, you see this gentleman in whitewater rapids. So this is my visual for what it's like when we're activated. When we're in hyperarousal, it's like we are in the rapids and a lot is going on. We're very vigilant, you know, and it can become chaotic. So if we're in that state where it's just, you know, all those descriptors you guys gave me about stress, when you're feeling that, we need to down regulate. We need to bring ourselves back into the window of tolerance before we get into action. Otherwise, we're in that realm of stimulus reaction overlapping. And we're not going to be able to do or think anything outside of what we've done or thought in the past. First step is always get back in the window of tolerance. So if we're up here in our stress, in our activation, we need to down regulate. And so the rhythm is a regular inhale, 4 seconds, a longer, slow exhale, 6 seconds, and then hold for 2. And we do that for maybe 30 seconds or a minute, whatever it takes for you to feel your system start to down regulate. On the other side of the page, you see this kayak that has kind of just floated into the bush. And this is my visual for hypoarousal, where it's just like, you know, you've laid back, you're letting the river take you wherever it wants to take you. You don't feel like you have much motivation. you know, the energy to even paddle is gone. So you're just kind of like, oh, whatever. I'm just going to float right into the bushes here. So when we're in that kind of state, we need to upregulate. We need to bring ourselves. It's actually more difficult for people who experience a lot of hypoarousal. We need to upregulate into hyperarousal and then downregulate. So another way you might experience this is actually with emotion, is that when you are feeling the heavy emotions of hypoarousal, like laziness, sometimes grief, sadness, loneliness, the feeling of separation, these are all states of or qualities of hypoarousal. And generally what happens before we find ourselves in that balanced state is we move into anger or aggression. And that's actually a good sign. We've just upregulated, and now we need to downregulate back in the window of tolerance. So to upregulate, we actually want to use our inhale with a little bit more force. The inhale is connected to the sympathetic nervous system, and the exhale is connected to the parasympathetic. So naturally, with each breath, we're actually engaging both systems. Inhale, we're activated. Exhale, we're downregulating. Okay? So if we need to really upregulate our system, I suggest you do the 2-2 breath for 10 to 30 seconds. So it's actually a little bit of a forceful breath, where you're allowing your belly to expand on the inhale, and then you're snapping it back with the exhale. So you're using your belly, you're using your diaphragm to really bring some energy into your system. So you do that for 10 seconds to 30 seconds, and then switch into a slower, soothing breath. So 6 seconds in and 6 seconds out. You might do that for 2 to 5 minutes. You could do a few rounds where you go slow and then you go quick. But this is a great way of bringing energy into your body, waking yourself up, activating yourself, and then you can downregulate. So for our practice today, I figured we could move through what it would be like if you found yourself in hypoarousal. So we'll begin by activating or exaggerating what it is to be in hypoarousal. So I want you to slouch down a little bit. Like, let go of your posture. Allow your shoulders and your head might curl forward as if it's just too much to sit up tall. I just need to curl in, create a bit of a cashew shape. And you might notice right away that when you are curled forward, it is a lot harder to take a breath. Right? Your breath might naturally just become a little bit more shallow. And if you're someone who is very, can relate a lot to hypoarousal, this might feel pretty intense for you. You know, you might have a lot of story, a lot of history with this state. But just like the heaviness of the world, that sloth sensation. So as soon as you notice this, I'm pulling away, I'm shutting down. I've moved into that red zone of just laziness, not motivated. Okay, first thing is to acknowledge, what a wise and beautiful system I have. Like, look at my body trying to protect me. You know, what a wonderful system. And now I need to upregulate myself, bring myself a little bit more energy, bring some wakefulness in. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sit up a little taller. I'm going to roll my shoulders up and back, create some space. For 30 seconds, we'll do our quick breath. So allowing your hands to rest on your belly, if that feels okay for you, giving yourself a little bit more of that tangible signal. Okay, keeping your mouth closed if possible. And inhale to expand, snap your belly back. Keep doing that. Notice the temperature change, the energy that starts to circulate through your body, the tingles, the electricity. 3 more. Next inhale, expand for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Twice more. Inhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, just allow your breath to move. And now we're going to practice down regulating. So we can exaggerate this state of hyperarousal by lifting your shoulders a little bit. You know, many of you talked about the tension in the upper back, the shoulders, maybe the pit in the belly, which is usually a sign of tension. Like the belly is bracing. I'm preparing for battle, even though in this moment, there's nothing to battle. Right? Your breath might become a little quicker. The sensations of chaos, the juggling too many things. I'm trying to catch things before they fall. It's not even a nice juggle. Right? The uncertainty, the imbalance, feel that move into your system. Right? Tension, lifting, strain. Now we're going to down regulate. So first thing we want to do is take an inhale and just see if you can relax a little bit with your exhale. Drop your shoulders if you have access to that. Now we'll move into the rhythm of inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 2, 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 2, 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow, soothing exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 2, 1. One more time. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 2, 1. Now just breathe. Couple more breaths. And now if you're not already in the window of tolerance, let's imagine what that would be like. Your breath is moving in a calm, steady, rhythmic manner. You're feeling connected to the ground. Noticing sensation in your body without being stuck or attached. Just noticing as things arrive. In that green zone, you feel open to engaging with others. Feeling that expansive state of presence and centeredness. You have access to curiosity and creativity and compassion. And then we'll do 2 rounds of this breath that helps expand the window of tolerance and increase our CO2 tolerance. So on your next inhale, let's empty out. Inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow exhale, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 2, 1. Inhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Even slower exhale, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 2, 1. Inhale, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Even slower. Exhale. 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 2, 1. Inhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Relax. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 2, 1. Inhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow exhale. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 2, 1. Last time. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowest exhale. 4, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Hug your belly back. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 2, 1. Now just breathe. Notice what it feels like to receive your breath. Just a couple more. So I'm going to finish off with this quote by Guru Singh. It says, "The diaphragm is a major component for inspiration. To inspire means to take a breath. If the diaphragm becomes loose and pliable as the largest muscle in the body, then it starts to secrete the peptides of inspiration. When you are inspired, you are friendlier, you are more loving and more caring, and you're more willing to share."